Choice Home Care and Hospice present Choices to Benefit the Aging with your host, Joe Urrutia.
Welcome to Choices to Benefit the Aging. I'm Joe Urrutia, Community Senior Service Coordinator for Choice Hospice and Home Health. Today's guest, we have George Perez. He's a licensed master social worker, and our topic for today is what is a representative payee, George?
And a guardianship.
And a guardianship. Welcome to our program, George. What is a representative payee, George?
Well, Joe, let me preface this topic by kind of talking about the context of when these services are needed. In our society we have a lot of people who elderly people who are very frail, who now we hear a lot about dementia, Alzheimer's. We have some of the younger people who have been diagnosed with mental retardation, with a variety of different conditions that render them unable to make decisions about their finances. And for the most part, these individuals are receiving benefits from Social Security via either the Social Security benefit, the supplemental security benefit, retirement benefits, a variety of different income. And sometimes when there's family around, that's typically not too much of a problem, because if you're not able to make decisions but your spouse is, then your spouse can go ahead and take care of that, or mom and dad, or other relatives. But sometimes you have situations where people don't have anybody. Okay, and if you give an elderly person who's demented a check, they don't even know what it is, let alone how to manage it. And so you run into a lot of situations where the Social Security check, the SSI check comes in, and they just hoard them, because it's just a piece of paper to them, and so they just suck it away, or throw it, or and so they don't have money to pay their housing, their utilities. They they can't take care of themselves. So the Social Security Administration, many years ago, saw this need to come up with a system to help individuals in this particular situation, and so they have created the representative payee system, and the way that you go about that is, let's say that in the course of our business, we run across an individual who is not able to manage their finances. We can petition the Social Security Administration, and there's a very specific form that is used that the Social Security Administration provides, where a physician has to, either a physician or a psychiatrist have to make a medical determination that this individual no longer has the capacity, because of either physical or mental impairment, to manage their finances. And so therefore a person has to be designated to receive the funds and manage the funds. And so let's say that you are an individual who's receiving a Social Security check, and I come in as your social worker and determine, Joe really doesn't know how to handle it. I can do this. I can apply for me to be the representative payee. I would get the doctor to fill out the form, send it to Social Security, they review it, and they approve me. So then your Social Security check would come to me, and it would say, George Perez for Joe Urrutia, okay? And there's a lot of responsibility with that, because you have to follow certain guidelines, to make sure that we protect, the finances of the individual, and that I won't be taking advantage of you. So there's reporting, procedures and stuff that have to take place.
Who can act as a representative, George?
It really is up to the Social Security Administration to determine that. It could be a family member. It could be a friend. LULAC, Project Amistad in El Paso for since the 70s, is one agency that has been designated as an agency, for representative payee purposes.
So they have people on staff that are just solely there to overlook and police this?
They have a number of individuals that they've been referred.
Okay.
And so they assign a caseworker for a number of them, and it is their job to, they get the money, and they get it an accounting of what their expenses are, the rent, their utilities, their food, expenses, and so forth, and they manage them. They even try to, whenever possible, give them a few dollars spending money. I mean, all of us need to buy chewing gum or whatever. So and they have to keep a very, very tight accounting of that, because Social Security will come back and say, okay, where have you been spending their money? Some of the representative payees can be paid. The Social Security Administration does allow for somebody to charge a nominal fee. I mean, you're not going to get rich off of that, but it does take time, it does take effort, and so you can get paid under the approval of the Social Security Administration for those services.
Okay, if my family member has been designated as a representative, at that point, can I myself turn around and say, I don't want this family member to no longer administer?
See, okay. And I should have backed up and prefaced this by saying, that we need to be careful when we implement these, because you're talking about people's civil rights, okay? I have the right to decide for myself what I want, and whether I make good decisions or bad decisions, that's still my choice, and that's part of living in America and having, that freedom, that we exercise in America. And so, when we're talking about implementing a representative payee status or a guardianship status, then you are, in essence, stripping that person of their civil right to make decisions. So once the doctor or the psychiatrist has determined that you no longer have the capacity to make decisions, and the Social Security Administration has designated a family member or whoever as a representative payee, you cannot undo that. You have to go to court and prove that you are, again, capable of, and believe me, if you have the capacity to go to court, take me to court and say, I can manage my own money, then you most certainly can. and that would be reversed, but most people, will not get that done.
If I have been appointed as a representative payee, what are my responsibilities?
Well, there's always a thing called, due diligence, okay? You have to make sure that you get a good accounting, a good handle on what my expenses are, and make sure that you pay my debts.
Do I have to report to someone?
Social Security.
To Social Security, okay.
Yes.
Do I have to do this job for free, or?
Well, as I indicated, Joe, you can get reimbursed, for providing this service. I mean, if you're gonna be, if I'm getting a Social Security check and I'm getting $700 a month, okay, I pay my rent, my utilities, my food. I mean, I'd be lucky if I have $20 left over, So, part of your job is to make sure that, all of my expenses are going to be paid, and then whatever's left over, if there is, you know, some room, yeah, definitely you should get reimbursed for, you know, for that service. But, you know, if the person doesn't have the means, I mean, how is that going to be possible? So a lot of it is, you know, whoever is designated as a representative payee, you know, has to take into consideration, you know, the individual's circumstances.
If I'm a guardian, George, and there has been already assigned by the Social Security Administration a representative payee, and the check's coming to me, can I override the check?
We need to talk about guardianship, okay? Because guardianship is a whole set of different circumstances.
Okay.
But to answer your question, this is how powerful the representative payee position is, okay, within the Social Security Administration. The Social Security Administration has granted you to be the representative payee.
Okay.
So only the Social Security Administration can undo that, okay?
Okay.
And so let's say that, you know, your mom, your dad, you know, your uncle, your guardian, anybody comes and says, you know what, you know, I'm a relative, I have authority, you know, I'm going to take over this. Social Security is going to say no.
Wow.
You know, it doesn't matter, you know, you have standing with the courts, you have standing, you know, with your family, but within the Social Security Administration, we are recognizing this individual and this individual only. Okay, now, if you are, you know, managing somebody's money as a representative payee, and a guardian or a family member shows up, okay, and you feel that they are, you know, good intention, you know, honest persons, and that they're gonna do, you know, a good job with them, you can relinquish your representative payee position and turn around and grant it to them. But you can't grant it. You can only request Social Security to reevaluate that and take you off and then appoint them. So only the Social Security Administration can do that.
So it is everything. It seems like it's channeled through the Social Security Administration. So if people want to know more about this, they can go through your local Social Security office, correct?
Yes.
I want to talk a little bit about give me the definition of guardianship, George, because I asked that question earlier.
You know, a guardian is a person who has been legally appointed by the probate court to see and okay, let's back up a little bit. You know, because guardianship is a position that is appointed because typically a person, you know, like we've been talking about, people who are, you know, mentally incapable of making their own decisions, need somebody to make decisions for them. And so, you know, let's say that, you know, you require severe, you know, care, that you know, maybe are bedfast, you know, you're you know, mentally not sound, and you get lost. I mean, you know, a number of different things could happen to you. To protect you, sometimes you have to be placed in an environment that is safe for you. And this is America, okay? I have the right to decide for myself, right or wrong, good or bad, what's going to happen. But there are certain members in our society that, because of illness or you know, physical or mental illness, no longer have the capacity to understand the risk, the consequence. See, and that's kind of like the defining line. You know, if I tell you, Joe, you know, don't walk across the freeway because you're going to get run over, and you say, George, I know, you know, if I run across, I could get run over and I could get killed. Okay, you know what the risk and the consequence is, and you still run across the freeway. Okay, you know, I mean, you know,
okay,
that's your decision. But if you have a mental impairment, you know, where you no longer understand that if you walk out in the middle of the street and you're going to get hit and run over, then we have an obligation to protect that individual, okay? And so that's why society has set up, you know, some safeguards for that individual. And so guardianship is that, you know, that safeguard. And it's very, very difficult to obtain a guardianship over an individual, because you are stripping that individual of all of their civil rights. You know, they can no longer vote. They can no longer decide, you know, where they're going to live, who they're going to live with, you know, when they're going to get up, when they're going to go. They have absolutely no decision-making whatsoever once the probate court has designated a guardian for them, okay? And so the probate court takes some very elaborate steps to ensure that only those individuals who truly, you know, merit a guardianship, you know, get one. And so you have to, a lot of times, get an attorney, because, I mean, this is a very, very legal situation, and so attorneys specialize, you know, in guardianships. And so, you know, they know the law, you know, because there is a lot of law that is you know, associated with this situation. And so getting somebody who's an expert, you know, in this is key. You have to, you know, petition the court that this individual warrants a guardianship. And you have to have medical evidence to support that this individual has either a physical or a mental impairment to the degree that they no longer can, you know, understand, you know, the risk that they put themselves in, or able to make decisions for themselves. And so then the court will get the petition. They will assign an investigator. The court itself will check out the individual, go look for medical records, go look for, you know, different situations before it even goes to a hearing. You know, so there's a lot of
supportive documentation that you
evidence that is gathered, because you're talking about a legal proceeding. You have evidence that is gathered, you know, to support or to reject the you know, the claim for a guardianship. And then you go to the hearing, and then at the hearing, the person who, you know, you're proposing to get a guardianship over, the court will appoint an attorney ad litem to represent them. Okay, and then, you know, if you have your attorney, you know, who you have hired to, you know, help you with a guardianship, you know, and then you'll have a court investigator, and then you'll have other witnesses that will, you know, determine whether, you know, and it's evidence to substantiate whether you know, you no longer have the mental capacity, you know, to make decisions on your behalf. At that point, then the court can go ahead and appoint a guardian of the person, somebody to make decisions about medical care, where you're going to live, you know, who you're going to live with, you know, and so forth, and a guardian of the estate, what's going to happen with your money, with your property, you know, with all that stuff. Or it could be the same individual for both.
Both, okay.
But it doesn't have to be, you know, because you're looking at, you know, money situation, you're looking at decision making for the person. So, you know, and it's a very complicated issue, but, you know, guardianship, you know, in some instances is very, very necessary.
Can I get a medical power of attorney instead of the guardianship?
Okay, we've discussed that in you know, in another segment. If you designate a medical power of attorney, okay, the medical power of attorney can make decisions, and you can put a lot of stipulations in there in terms of what powers you're granting the individual to make for you. So yeah, if you you know, thought ahead of time and you executed, you know, one of the advanced directives, the medical power of attorney, then it helps tremendously. Okay, it doesn't help a lot of times with the finances. Okay, unless you've designated somebody to do, you know, a general power of attorney. Okay, and there's a difference between a medical power of attorney and a general power of attorney. We didn't have a chance to discuss it at the last segment, you know, because we just...
Well, what is the difference?
When you designate a medical power of attorney, you basically are saying, you know, if I'm in a coma or in a situation where I can't make decisions, medical decisions for myself, this is who I'm designated to make those decisions for me. So we're talking about medical care.
Medical care.
when you do a general power of attorney, I can be of sound mind, but I'm going to take a trip to the Bahamas or whatever, and I'm not going to be in town to manage my business affairs. So I can designate you to be in essence my agent, and you can contract on my behalf. You can buy, sell, go to the bank, do whatever powers I give you. Okay, to manage my financial affairs, then you have the full authority to do that. And in that document, I can designate, and if I become unable to make decisions for myself, the powers continue. Or I can say the powers stop. Okay, and you can designate whatever you want. But this one is for financial contract, and the other one is for medical.
Medical power of attorney is for medical.
And the general power of attorney is for contracts, business, negotiations.
The difference now between guardianship and representative payee. What is the difference?
Okay.
Help me with those two.
Whenever we're looking to, in essence, strip an individual of their rights, okay, we always have to be cognizant of following, the least restrictive alternative. Okay, I mean, in social work and in a lot of fields, we talk about, that we have to do the least restrictive alternative. Sometimes, people can still make pretty good decisions about where they're going to live, who they're going to live with. They still can do a lot of decision making, okay? And so, but the only thing that they can't manage is their finances, and so the representative payee would be the best alternative, because all you're talking about is just managing their money. Okay. Now, when the situation is so severe that the person no longer has any capacity to make decisions, and actually we run into situations where somebody's in a coma, or they're severely demented and they need total care. They can't stay at home. It's very, very expensive to try to keep somebody there 24 hours a day. Even family members, if there's any available, they have to work. They have their own lives to live. So sometimes, they can't. So the best alternative for that individual is a placement in like a nursing facility, a long-term care facility. But somebody has to make that decision, has to make that application, has to, make sure that they follow through, because it's going to cost some money. So, you need to have somebody to be able to make all those decisions. And so a guardianship is necessary, because if if you're still kind of semi with it and you say, I don't want to stay here, and you don't have a guardianship, then any nursing facility, they will tell you, sorry, we can't keep Joe because he doesn't want to be here. But if you have a guardianship, we've stripped you of all your decision making. And if I'm your guardian and say, I'm sorry, Joe, but I'm going to place you, in this facility, and even if you scream and kick and holler that you don't want to stay there, there's nothing that you can do or they can do. You will stay there because I have the authority to make that decision for you.
Two questions. What is a guardian of the person? And the next one is, what is a guardian of the estate?
A lot of the times when you go through the probate, court, and the judge will hear the testimony, and he feels pretty comfortable that one individual, one entity can manage both and do a good job, that there's not going to be any conflict, or there's not going to be any, any possibility of any wrongdoing, or, that you're going to take off with the money or whatever. Then they can appoint somebody to make decisions for the person, for the finances, okay? But sometimes the probate court will look at a situation and say, you know what, you're the family member, I'll let you decide where, what, is going to happen with this individual. But you haven't convinced me yet that you're not greedy and wanting, to make decisions that are going to be contrary or detrimental to this individual because you want the money. And so then in that instance, he can designate somebody to, be the guardian of the estate. Okay. And so he could split up that. So as a guardian of the person, you make decisions for the individual in terms of, everyday situations, but not the finances. In guardian of the estate, you can only make decisions about, financial situations, but not about, where you're going to live and all that other stuff. So, one manages the decision making for the person, the other one manages the decision making of the finances for that person.
Okay. If I'm appointed as a guardian of the estate, do I have to spend any of my own money?
No, absolutely not. That's not, another thing that kind of, keeps people from applying for this. You are expected to only manage the money that the person has in their estate, and you're not expected to put any money out of your pocket.
Okay. Who can be appointed?
It pretty much is up to the probate court. Whoever they feel that is appropriate to make that decision. Once you've gone through that process, the judge will make that call. But it pretty much anybody can be. A lawyer, a family member, LULAC as an agency, the state sometimes has, it wards that the judge appoints for, that they manage.
Okay. George, I want to thank you for today's topic, and it's a very interesting information that you provided us today with guardianship and as a representative Payee. George,
well, thank you. I just hope that it helps people to start thinking about that. There's a lot of complexities in decisions, and we should talk about these topics.
And there's support for them out there in the community. So
most certainly,
if they ever have any, you said LULAC was one of the ones that they can call.
Adult Protective Services.
Adult Protective Services. And Area Agency on Aging, I do know of El Paso, has information regarding all this.
And you can go directly to the probate court. Okay. There's two courts.
George, I enjoyed having you on our program on Choices to Benefit, and I hope to have you here in the near future.
Be glad to be here.
I want to thank our public for watching us today on Choices to Benefit the Aging. Please look at your Southwest Senior for weekly topics on our program. It's every Tuesday at 6 p.m. And also, if you have any questions regarding your hospice Medicare benefit or home health, assisted living, foster homes, you may always call me on my cell phone at 588-8382. Whatever I can help you with as far as community services for seniors, please call me, and I look forward to helping you. God bless you, and thank you again for watching us on Choices to Benefit the Aging. God bless you. Thank you.
Choices to Benefit the Aging has been brought to you by Choice Home Care and Hospice. For more information on this program, go to El Paso Southwest Senior Magazine at www.southwestsenior.com. Furniture provided by Copenhagen, 6550 North Mesa.